Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. Bulls following through from the notable day yesterday. All major sectors up at the highs at the same time and noticing a clear shift in correlation between XLF and QQQ. And we'll check in on what those little subtle changes have been, certainly favoring the bulls. We've got a little wild card with the light. I'm filming this 30 minutes later than normal. So the S&P 500, we got SPY testing the all-time high. That level is 425.46, V-shaped bounce, retracing 90% of the pullback at this point. Hourly uptrend, clear guide for the bulls. Really very little hourly consolidation taking place on many names over the last 2 days. So anything above 420.08 would be an hourly high or low on SPY. And it's just a question of whether we get that all-time high or not. Lots of names hitting all-time highs. QQQ, Microsoft. We've got Google right under all-time highs. Amazon's 1% away. Apple's not far away. So we're watching close whether we get a clear break of our NASDAQ futures uptrending resistance line. We've been watching this rising wedge. We are up at resistance. And if we see a green day tomorrow, I'm going to consider this a bull break of this rising wedge. If we have a red day tomorrow, then we'll just adjust this line very slightly and we will still be rejecting from this resistance. So that's going to be key in the short term. Bulls confirmed, 4 hour, little bull flag, big breakout, and again, QQQ, new all-time high. Bulls in complete control. Daily higher lows are our guide. If 340.15 is support, QQQ bulls have complete control. So what I was looking for to start this week was a financial sector bounce. And I was looking for the relationship between XLF and QQQ to remain as it has been for the past few weeks, which is completely inverse. And so that meant I was watching for QQQ to pull back while XLF bounced. The market had different ideas, and QQQ, we see the inverse relationship still there in the first part of the day. And if you go back and really look at it, the first half hour of trading, QQQ and XLF are inversely trading. And then we see the correlation shift, and it favors the bulls because we have, I guess we'll just pull up these charts next to each other. 5-minute time frame to start the day. QQQ was real tight, just chopping around, and XLF. So big drop, first 10 minutes of the day. Bull move, first 10 minutes of the day on QQQ. Pull back for 10 or 15 minutes. Bounce for 10 minutes. Drop to the low. XLF hit a new low of the day by a couple pennies. QQQ got right back to the high of the day. And then XLF bulls turned it on. Hourly higher low set. We knew the low. We were just looking for an hourly higher low in XLF because we didn't change the hourly trend yesterday. So bulls took over. And during this point in time, 10:05 to 11:15, an hour and 10 minutes of all XLF bulls, what was happening? Well, here's 10:05. When XLF bottomed and we traded sideways a little bit and then bulls joined. So essentially what you have is normally they'll go tick for tick inverse where one step forward for one is one step back for the other. And the last 2 days it has been one step forward for one is a baby step back for the other, but a definite bullish favored correlation. And then we topped out at 11:15. Pulled back for 40 minutes, and that is when the QQQ bulls took their turn with a new, very convincing high of the day. So the correlation is still there, it's just favoring the bulls. So, no sign of weakness, and then we were up at the high of the day in the afternoon, and again, it was the same thing. In the morning, we're not seeing all of our major sectors at the high of the day at the same time, and then as things settled in by the afternoon, 2 days in a row now, all major sectors, XLV, XLF, QQQ, which is the 3 major ones that I'm watching, they're all at the high of the day at the same time, which is your ideal scenario as a bull. IWM, plenty of space for a daily lower high. The bulls will have to prove a daily trend change if we're going to be looking back at the all-time high resistance, which we rejected from initially. So we're looking for a daily lower high, anything under 233.35. When we lose the hourly uptrend, the daily lower high is likely set. And there is a good bit of space where we will be scouting a daily high or low. But IWM has more exposure to the financial sector, which is why it's looking for a lower high here. Meanwhile, SPY and QQQ are right up at their highs. So here's XLF, weak bounce. It's a potential daily bear flag. If we see another leg up and get to the mid 36s, we'll start to negate the possibility of a bear flag. But if this bounce tops out in the low 36s, that daily bear flag is a possibility. If we see XLF as a daily bear flag, cooling off RSI and allowing for another leg down, I'll be watching very closely. Does that mean QQQ keeps going stronger and staying high with that inverse relationship? Or are we going to start seeing more of a direct correlation between these sectors? XLV, daily rising wedge still on watch, but bulls are just fine. We would have to see a clear break of 123.20 for this rising wedge to break bearish. And here we are looking at the all-time high, 125.66, which is a double top or a triple top. So key resistance test on XLV. XLE, rising wedge, same thing. Scouting a daily lower high on XLE, anything under 56.55. But we would have to break 52.29 support if the bears are going to prove anything to us, confirming a daily downtrend with more significant follow-through. Biotech sector. Weakness stood out today. We're range bound here. And just looking at the 2 days from last week, we've got a low of 130.46, high of this bull move of 135.34, held support, rejected from resistance, and we're just trading within the sideways range. Support was 131.74. We held it today by 15 cents. So just watching this tightening range to likely see a break in the near term. So I've been watching, as I mentioned in the last video, for growth names which have been bouncing for 5-6 weeks to see consolidation. And the EV space today was weak. NIO standing out as a very weak name today comparative to what the broader market was doing. So again, we're watching, is weekly consolidation going to take place? It's shaping up on NIO. We've got XPEV, another name, same deal. Weakness today. Tesla held on fairly well. We're still range bound on Tesla, but it just stood out today that while most growth names were fine, it was big tech that clearly led the way for QQQ. Growth names benefited, but the biotech sector and the EV space was not benefiting nearly as much as Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Facebook. So there are times where QQQ is going up or going down, and we're watching, it's the same thing. So we have SPY, and we're watching XLF, XLV, and QQQ. How are they relating to each other? What are the correlations with these sectors? And then we have an inter-sector where we've got QQQ, and we're watching growth in big tech because they're taking shifts and taking turns as to who's leading the way up or leading the way down. Lots of moving parts. So we got SMH, bounce on the daily, but anything under 255.39 would be a lower high. We're watching this weekly equilibrium, and it's either going to be a weekly bull flag, or if we see a lower high and lower low, and a bear break of 244.96, then we'll be right back in the middle of this range on this bigger picture weekly equilibrium. Solar sector, daily higher low now set 80.38, testing the high of this entire bounce 83.50. Have to lose these daily higher lows if we're going to be looking for any weekly pullback. So those daily higher lows are key, just like they're key on NIO and XPEV and all of these growth names. And we have a new one at 80.38 to be watching. And looking at it on the 4-hour perspective, taking off extended hours to just condense it a little bit. Aggressive bears are watching for potential 4-hour rising wedges to indicate weekly consolidation if these wedges break bear. Let's see what that looks like on NIO. Not a rising wedge. This is the first time I'm looking at these. But watching that on XBI. Nope, not XBI. Watching that on TAN for that possibility. But if the bulls break 83.50 and see follow through, the bulls will assert their complete control. MSOS, bulls still doing nothing, closing weak down near the lows. We broke the high of yesterday by 2 pennies. It's a double top, and then we broke to the low. And again, this sector is just not benefiting at all from broader market strength. and it is hurt by any broader market consolidation. So it's just your ideal bear correlation to the broader market. And I don't know what it's going to take to shake this funk that this sector is in, but nobody is buying the OTC listed USMJ names, even though the fundamentals are looking good. The VIX. So big pullback on the VIX, and anything above 1504 is a daily high or low. We never changed the daily trend. We just saw this notable bull move. We would have to hold 1504 and break 2182 to confirm a daily trend change. Otherwise, we're just watching for it to be another weekly spike that fades to lower lows, which has certainly been the pattern ever since we topped out on COVID. Every bounce is a weekly, well, we had one higher high, but the majority are just lower highs. But keeping an eye on short term, 1504, the lowest level hit in the last 13, 14 months. The dollar saw daily consolidation. Again, daily RSI indicated that we were likely to see some consolidation, just looking back at historical levels. But with this confirmed 4-hour downtrend, we're not seeing the metal bulls respond as they would hope. We are looking for the dollar to set a daily high or low with tons of space to do so. But you can see the metals here. Gold is a potential daily bear flag. We're not breaking 4-hour resistance. So the dollar broke 4-hour support, but gold is not breaking resistance. This is the inverse head and shoulders. I think I drew it in the video yesterday. It is still a possibility, but bulls need to show up tomorrow and break 1790 and ideally 1797 to follow through to try and negate the potential daily bear flag. And again, it's size of the bounce retracement that helps us gauge, is it a bear flag or is it a big enough bounce to be looking for an equilibrium? And we're nowhere near even the 382 retracement. We could bounce all the way up to 1810 and still be a possible daily bear flag. And silver hasn't even broken the pattern of a lower high every day. So 4-hour lower high resistances and EMA 12 resistance, keeping the metal bears in control in the short term. Metal bulls really need to show up tomorrow. It's a potential falling wedge on silver now that I look at it. But again, the burden of proof is on the bulls. Need to show up tomorrow. Miners, multiple daily inside bars in a row. We're certainly going to see a spike in volume and volatility tomorrow. Can't get any tighter than we were today. So just watching today's range. And if you are a trader, you want to see the range break during regular trading hours, not with a gap up or gap down. And that happens often because it's trading based off metals, which have longer trading hours than the miners themselves. Oil, it's still all bulls. 4-hour consolidation. No red flag. High or low, EMA 12 support. If we lose support of 72.47, anything above 69.54 is a daily high or low. And nat gas, daily high or low set. 4-hour saw a brief little bull flag and then break of a bunch of resistances. So now we have our clear resistance, the top of this breakout, and our clear support, our daily high or low. We would have to fail the resistance and break support to confirm a daily downtrend and see a notable momentum shift, but holding the daily EMA 12, keeping the bulls in control for now. Bitcoin had a big bounce today. I was focusing on the cryptocurrency space this morning. And if you were watching the video from yesterday, you know that the trade came to me as far as wanting a break at 30,000 to start entering a position. We got a notable bounce there, and the crypto stocks responded to it. Names like MARA and Riot, just looking at the 15-minute time frame, big gains, 15% off the low, just completely correlated to what Bitcoin was doing. Trades I took today, I waited a lot this morning before I took my first trade. And just real patient. QQQ was real slow to start the morning, just sideways and range bound until about 11. And let's see, first trade that I took was AMC, I believe. And AMC, what I was looking for was a 15-minute higher low. So low of the day, big time bounce of 8% or so. big pullback, but certainly looking for a 15-minute higher low because of the amount of range that was established. So I wasn't just patiently waiting. I literally just pulled up this chart and I looked at the 2-minute, I looked at the 15-minute, and then I looked at the 2-minute, and there was my trade setup. And what the 2-minute was doing at that point, I literally looked at this chart right here. I said, okay, well, that is exactly what I want to see. I'm looking for a 15-minute higher low as the most likely scenario, and I'm seeing a big enough 2-minute bounce to anticipate a 2-minute higher low. A 2-minute trend change is the first indication that a 15-minute higher low is being set. So a very low risk, high reward trade is scaling in 1 or 2 entries, putting a stop under 52.29, because if that level breaks, I'm wrong. Our 15-minute higher low is not being set. And if the bulls change the 2-minute trend in their favor, I'm right and I have a big win. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I've done this trade on Tesla, the exact same time frames, the exact same setup, many times over the last 2 years. Many different tickers, but it stands out. You know, I've got trade review videos of Tesla of this exact trade setup. So I entered a larger position than normal because the low risk allowed me to do so. Exited half on this bull break. Then I'm risk free. And then I let this play out. Exited a quarter somewhere on the way up. And then as soon as we rejected from the high of the day and we clearly pulled back, I exited the rest of my position. And it was a really solid win on the day. One thing I did not do well was keep an eye on it. And at that point in time, it was probably lunch break, so I'm not going to beat up on myself. I was away from the computer, but it was a cup and handle as far as high of the day. There's your cup. Inability to break the high of the day, bull flag, breakout. So recognizing a 15-minute bull flag and playing this inside bar breaking bull, putting your stop under the low at that point would have been another very low risk trade where you're entering on a 54.28 break. Your stop is under 53.72. So your risk is, we'll call it 60 cents. And your reward ended up being $3+, 5 times the potential reward for what your risk is. So that was nice follow through. I did not do anything else with AMC aside from that first trade. Next trade. I forget the order, but I shorted QQQ. And the trades where I was wrong today, risk-free, break even. So shorted QQQ. It looked to me like bulls were getting tired. Just bull breaks with a lack of follow through. So we had a high of the day, 346.84. We broke it. No follow through. Entered bearish right here. And just put my stop over 347 and change. And said, all right, we're either going to see hourly consolidation and I'll nail the top, or I'll stop out with a very small loss. And we pulled back here and I exited half of my position. I got filled, let's say 346.75. Stop over 347. So 26 cent risk. Exited half at 346.55 or so. Now my break even is 346.95. So tiny risk. And I stopped out on this break of 346.76 because I said to myself, if that level's going to break, then it's just a 15-minute bull flag. And I don't even want to take a tiny loss. I want a tiny win. So I stopped out on this candle. So again, trade did not play out for hourly consolidation, but no loss because of selling half. So you look at those two different trades, and you look at AMC and say, oh, why did you sell half too early? You could have had so many more gains. It's because of this exact scenario. Because me and my conservative trading style, when I'm wrong, it's real small losses because of this sell half. And yes, I leave money on the table when I'm right, but it ensures that when I'm wrong, it very little step backwards. One more trade that was, let's see, I had another winner in there. Forget what it was. I had one more fail. Wish, 15-minute, same thing, cup and handle, and it reminded me a lot like AMC. So we had a high of the day, low of the day, and I exited my Wish position, half pre-market and half right at the open. But big pullback, big bounce, 15-minute tightening range. And we rejected from the 15-minute resistance here by 2 pennies, and we formed a 5-minute bull flag. So it was the same thing. Is this a cup and handle? Look at the lack of resistance after 1375. You got nothing until 14 and 1443. So, and it was right here. So I entered on this consolidation. Resistance, rejection, little bull pullback, potential quick little bull flag. And we got the bull break. And as soon as we get that bull break and that big upper wick starts forming and we pull right back under the resistance that we just broke, instant red flag should be firing off. Because if that's going to be a convincing bull break, we go and test 14 right away. So exited half real quick when that red flag flashed, and then exited the second half real quick and had a very small loss as a result of that. And had I not exited real quick, there was a lot more downside after that. One more trade. There was one more trade out there. Maybe it's just cryptocurrency that's stuck in my head. But that was just about it. Overall, fairly uneventful day. And again, my hedges going down as the market goes up. I did bail on CAT. CAT broke its low of yesterday, which had me just exit on it. And a bit quick on the exit, but not wanting to sit through a daily bull flag and just locking in the profit from the 206's entry. So no longer in CAT. No longer in ARK. Sold ARK too early. And other than that, day trades offsetting hedge downside. And I will exit or lighten up my hedges significantly if the S&P 500, if two things happen. The S&P 500, a convincing all-time high, or if XLF sets its daily lower high and on its pullback, QQQ keeps inverse and gets notable follow-through to all-time highs. And one thing that's key for me on QQQ is Apple weekly equilibrium. And I might top fish that 137 level if it comes into play tomorrow, because the 4-hour RSI will be very extended if we test the 137s. And it's the question of, do we break weekly resistance and head to all-time highs on Apple, or do we reject from weekly resistance and see the weekly equilibrium continue to tighten? So the rest of the week is going to be key on Apple with that 137 resistance. Hope you had a good day. Had a good filming of Nature Day. You'll see the babies that I got, and then we got a hawk getting a snake in tomorrow's video. Do good things. Have a good day.
It's a woodpecker. Couple of whiny baby crows.